time to breathe. Autofill on every task. Open doors when we don't ask. Night by night the numbers climb. Every screen in perfect time. Chat goes wild, the beats stay clean. We build the future in between. One more tap, one more round. Everybody feel that rising sound. Keep it moving, keep it near. Live on YouTube, we're all in here. I am running the Nate Herk Watch Party. Watch my AI-imation. Watch running the Nate Herk Watch Party. Everybody pressing close. AI and automation. That's the one we need the most.
What's up, everyone? How's it going? Solomon Christ here. We are at the Nate Herk Watch Party. Oh my gosh, this place is a mess. I gotta clean. Oh my goodness, I really need like some AI to help me clean up the place. Here's my clock. There you go. You see the clock. I have to put some batteries in it. Welcome to the Nate Herk reaction video watch party. You're here, Solomon Christ, once again. We're gonna have some fun today. We're gonna be watching, some of Nate's videos. We're gonna be discussing AI, some of the latest stuff, and going over as much stuff as we can. I am so grateful for all of you. Thank you so much for coming on in, having some fun with me today. We're gonna be, as I said, diving into agent loops. We're gonna be getting into some of the other videos that are there. I found one which I thought was really, really fun. And, just having a great time with everybody here. We've got like a couple hours. I don't know. We're going to have some fun. We'll watch some videos and stuff. And then after that, feel free to type inside of the chat and just, take part. AI is growing every single day, every single week. And it's all about learning. It's all about the fun. The learning never stops. And even when you see other people who are doing it and they're doing a really great job, like, I'll see Nate, I'll see many others in the industry. It's always a time to learn. And that's one of the things that I like to do is, no matter how big somebody else is or how big I am, it's like the learning never stops. This is not something, that you could just say, okay, I know it now and that's it. It's over. This is something that requires ongoing learning. The AI industry is one that is moving at lightning speed, and it's something that we all need to work together on to really just learn and take it to the next levels. And so if you're here, that's what we're doing. We're going to have some fun, and, just everyone helps each other out. All ships rise together. That's a nice thing. And I'm so grateful to be part of Nate's community and just having fun with these incredible videos. And I want to make sure that you all get the opportunity to come on out to Nate's incredible community as well. It's called AIS Plus. It's his school community, and we'd love to see you there. So if you aren't there already, if you'd like to come on out and just have some fun with, other builders, other people who are doing some amazing things, definitely go ahead and just scan in this QR code here. You can take your phone or device or whatever it is, just kind of scan that in, or you could just type in that bit.ly link. What's going to happen is if you type in that bit.ly link, it's going to like show you some like screen. I think it's like a temporary screen that it kind of shows. And then afterwards, it takes you, right to, his page there. But I'll kind of go over what it all looks like. If you're going into the school, you're going to get to join the AIS community. It is the paid community. That's the one I'm recommending right now. Is a very big difference. There is a very big difference when you're inside of a paid community because, everyone is building. And the nice thing is that, you've got a classroom here. This is where I recommend everyone start. It'll get you into the various different types of AI foundations that you can actually learn about, such as, of course, N8N, Claude, Code, and several others. There's a lot of different things there. And of course, when you're just starting out, just go to the community, chat with everyone, say hello. That's how you're going to get to, I guess, the leaderboard. It's going to unlock your different levels and you'll be able to chat some more. And, I got some more work to do. I got to get to like AI Grandmaster. There we go. It's all the school stuff. It's a lot of fun. But just go ahead, join up and join other people who are doing the same thing, having fun, learning AI, growing their AI businesses or whatever it is that you do. I'm an AI enterprise trainer. That's what I do. I teach AI. And as much as I'm teaching, I'm always learning because this industry is growing so fast every single day. And today we're going to be going over agent loops. That's right. So we're going to dive into some of that here. And so thank you for joining me here today. And let's have some fun. I went through Nate's, channels here. And if you haven't already, go ahead and join up Nate Herk. And of course, myself, Solomon Christ as well. And mine is, so this is at Nate Herk, if you haven't joined that already. So there's at Nate Herk. for YouTube. And then there's also at Solomon Christ. Where is it? Solomon Christ AI. And that's me. But you're already watching me. So you want to know where Nate Herk's is. So there we go. So it's at Nate Herk. And that's the one that you want to see. That's what we're going to be watching here today. All right. So the one that we're going to be going over right now is agent loops. And this is the video that I think is going to be a lot of fun to go over. And I'm going to do my best to kind of guide you through some of these things because it comes from the world of software development. And I'm a software developer by trade. And I know that Nate, he says it in his videos that he's not. So it's going to be now hopefully a little bit of a contrast. You'll kind of get to see some things from the development side, right? So some of the things that we love to do as developers and, dive a little bit deeper. So let's go ahead. Let's start watching this really cool video. It's the next Nate Herk reaction watch party. So let's dive right in. And I'm going to move my video off to this side here just to, kind of show both our videos. There we go. Now we got both of us there, right? So now I'm right next to you, Nate. There we go. Wait, Nate's this side. Nate's this side. There we go. Nate, right up there. There we go. Man, I got to make myself bigger. I can make myself bigger. There we go. All right, let's dive right in. Let's watch some Nate Herk video. We're going to be talking about agent loops. Let's do it. Let's listen in.
Right here, I've got 4 different agents that are looping, calling other sub-agents, and writing all these.
Whoa, that is fast. That was fast. Repeat. Let's repeat that. Hold on. What is this? Like, got a lot of stuff here. What is that speed? Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Okay, I'm going to watch it maybe at like 1.25 or 1.5. Let's do 1.25. Let's do 1.2. All right. Let's go over this. Because loops is something that's really important. We got to take some time. Got to take some time in this one. Here we go. There we go. We got like 1. Okay, let's start off. All right, let's have some fun. There we go.
Right here, I've got 4 different agents that are looping, calling other sub-agents, and writing all these prompts for me and designing systems for me. But is this actually productive, or is that just a cool demo? Here's your monthly reminder that you shouldn't be prompting coding agents anymore. You should be designing loops that prompt your agents. Boris Cherney and Peter Steinberger publicly said they no longer prompt their coding agents, they write loops. A loop is 3 things: a trigger, an action, and a stop condition. If you're still writing loops that prompt...
All right, let's go over that. A trigger, an action, and a stop condition. So a trigger is kind of like, just something that detects that something has happened, all right, inside of a loop. And then we've got an action, something that's happening, and a stop condition. In the world of programming, this sounds a lot like a while loop or do while. So it's kind of like you do this thing, all right, until or while, this action or this condition is not met, and then you're going to stop. All right. So that's kind of like the idea. And I'm seeing a lot of these things coming back, the world of programming just keeps on coming back. And so as much as people are like, oh, I don't need to know programming or code, these are some of the foundational code items that we have. Now, at the same time, when you're thinking about, the deeper layer stuff, this may be overkill for what you're trying to do. All right. So Nate's going to dive in a little bit more on that, but I'm just letting you know that unless you're like really programming something, you really want to kind of walk away. If your project is something really small, you may not need loops at those levels. I mean, this is like really deep stuff. We get into O notation. Oh my goodness, O notation. If you remember that, if you're a programmer, developer, yeah, you know what I'm talking about. O notation. Anyways, let's continue.
Coding agents, you're falling behind. You need to build a meta agent that infers what loops you would have wanted based on your vibe and then write those loops. We're seeing a ton of talk about agent loops, loop engineering, whatever you want to call it. So I wanted to make a video to clear up what that actually means. Because I think that everyone kind of has their own spin and a different definition of what this is, and it applies to everyone very, very differently. I think that this definition sums it up pretty well. Loop engineering is replacing yourself as the person who prompts the agent. You design the system that does that instead. A loop here can be thought of as a recursive goal where you define a purpose and the AI iterates until complete. And there's really...
Ooh, recursion. So recursion is a fun little thing inside of the world of programming. We definitely need to be careful because when you do a recursive item, it could go into like what we call a forever loop. And the trouble is, if you have no way of getting out of that, you see a lot of people who are trying to game the system. They're like, let me just create these agents and I'm just going to let them go wild, right? And it's like this, code and pray methodology. It's kind of like, I hope it works. I hope it's going to make what I want it to make. And then I'm going to go to sleep and I'm going to wake up with this magical thing, this magical present of this beautiful website or this beautiful screenshot or whatever it is that you're trying to build. Maybe it's like this beautiful like app that you were dreaming of, but you're like, I don't want to do it. I don't want to spend my time doing it. Let the AI go and figure it out. And the challenge here is that that is going to be very costly and dangerous potentially. Okay. Costly. Like, you don't know how many tokens this is going to cost. This is now you're getting into a recursion. So it's going to keep on looping, keep on looping, keep on. If it never finds the goal that you have put out there, or if it never finds a certain, like very distinct thing. So for example, in do while loop, it's like, do this loop while X equals, or X is less than 10. Now, if you do not increment X or change X so that one time somewhere it becomes 10, it will loop for eternity. For as long as that computer exists, it'll just keep on looping, right? And, these are very, very silly things, but it's like, you need to make sure that at some time, your condition to stop is going to happen. And if it's not, what's going to happen when it comes to like Claude code or whatever you're using this loop engineering in, it will eat up all your tokens. And so I could see a really big problem with this. You go to sleep on a Friday, you're watching the big FIFA games. You're like, I already know Ronaldo's gonna win. Shh, that's just my secret. That's my thought. Ronaldo's gonna win. Go for it. And then all of a sudden you go to sleep and you're like, yes, I bet $5 with my friend, and I know that Ronaldo's gonna win. You come back on Sunday morning and hoping that you got this brand new app. Instead, you've got a $20,000 Claude bill. There goes your $5. Right? So my point is, as much as loop engineering is great, be very careful. Make sure that you have clear goals, clear items, things that will for sure hit. Otherwise, this can go on forever and ever and ever. And especially if you put like, there's a prompt in Claude where before you go in, which allows you to kind of like not ask permissions, right? And that means that it's not going to stop anywhere. It's just going to go on and on and on and on. So what I would recommend is put an actual like budget in your Claude, like a way that it'll just shut down. I believe there's a way that you could actually do that and kind of like lock it out. Make sure that you don't have a credit card attached. Like there's a way that you can actually put a budget and stop it and turn it off if it hits like the max thing. And that is going to save you. But if you don't do that, it could run up a bill. So this is just for all of my viewers. Just be careful and wise. All right, let's continue. This is good stuff.
Two most important pillars of that in my mind, which are the goal. What is the actual objective? Something typically that's objective, not subjective. And then verification. How does the agent know what that stop condition is? How does it check and iterate? So anyways, if you take all that advice and then you start doing stuff like this and designing swarms and fleets of agents that constantly run 24/7, then you need to think about, what are you actually doing here? And is this actually moving the needle? So first of all, I thought to myself, how do I actually use agent loops? Because when you read some of those tweets that I just showed earlier in this video, you kind of think to yourself, okay, if I'm not having 5 agents that are continuously around the clock orchestrating 5 of their own agents, then I'm falling behind, or I'm not using my cloud subscription in the best way.
So that right there is such a huge point. My microphone is active, so I know you guys can hear me, okay? So everyone thinks that you're falling behind if you don't do this stuff. Like, oh my goodness, you know what? Solomon said do this, or Nate said do this, or some other influencer said do this. And it's like, you need to ask yourself, is this something that I really need? And I mean, there's always going to be something brand new, and there's stuff coming out. Choose a few items that you know that you want to like really dive deep in on, and then really put them to use, but you don't need everything. So this is a new technique. All right. A new technique. This is actually, we just have like a while loop is what I think it is. It's like a recursive loop. But the point is, like, do I really need that technique now? And so think about tools and techniques. So tools, like think of like a tool set, and maybe you're a person who builds houses, right? But the technique of, creating the staircase, or the technique of, laying bricks, or the technique of, finishing wood. It's like that is a technique that could help when you're building something like a staircase. So if you need a staircase and you need to do woodworking, then that technique will help you there. This is just another technique. And you need to ask yourself if you need it or not based on what you're doing. And if you're doing something really, really simple, then you may not need this. This is like really overkill, and that too, if you get it working correctly, very useful. All right, it does save you time. It could save you many, many, many hours where you can kind of walk away and let it do its thing. But you need to understand what it is doing, and this is where having that logical coding foundation, which I really recommend for everybody. Go back to some programming, do some basic stuff that's going to help you out. Even though this is no code stuff or low code stuff, you still want to have that mentality of programming. And look, I caught Nate with his tongue out. Nate, your tongue's out. I gotcha. All right, brother, let's continue.
And I think that that's very false, because if you don't understand what you're doing, then you're probably just going to scale problems and you're going to have a ton of bugs and a ton of things that you're going to have to fix later. And also, not all of us are in a scenario where having agents work 24/7 around the clock actually benefits us. For example, I don't. I have agents that do things on a certain cadence, and I have agents that do things based on certain event actions. But just having them do 24/7 work for me isn't helpful. I think if I was working with a team on a code base and we were building a product and we were constantly iterating and pulling in different things, then it would maybe make more sense. But for me, that doesn't apply. So I just wanted to come in here, explain this as simple as I can, and hopefully shed some light on where you guys can start applying loops into your workflows and why and how.
Boom, same thing. See, I just said the exact same thing. It has to make sense for you. It's got to be something that really makes sense for you. And if it doesn't, then you don't need it. You don't need that technique at that moment. But this is a technique. I want you to understand this is a technique in AI, is agent loops. It's not like an actual like product or system. So it's not Claude or Codex or whatever. I can use this technique in any of these systems. All right. As long as it's got the capability of doing so, it is a technique. So it is very important. And like I said, I'm seeing everything coming right back to the world of programming. So if you're a software developer and, maybe you got let go of your job, I mean, a lot of us did, right? Or whatever you were working on, just the business died out or whatever software work you were doing. This here is going to help you. The fact that you've got a programming background is now you're starting to see that stuff coming back right into this world of AI. So I think it's really, really important that you learn these, foundational skills. Go and take a basic programming course. That's really going to help you. All right. But for those of you who don't want to, that's fine. Understand agent loops are another technique that you can use along the way, but only if you need it. All right, let's continue.
So I actually built an agent loop for this HTML that we're going to look at today. And it basically went through a ton of different sources. It checked 45 sources, whether that was articles, YouTube video transcripts, X posts. It looked through a ton of stuff. And then it kept looping on this until it had a good idea of what to build. And then once it built this HTML, this wasn't V1. This was probably V7. It had to keep checking, screenshotting, reviewing, iterating. And then it finally said, okay, we're done. This is what we got. So let me walk through this with you guys. An agent loop.
So like, as you just heard there, like he went through 7 iterations for this. That's wild. 7 different iterations to make this thing. Okay. I could have probably done it with 3, or 2. So imagine now the amount of tokens that are being used for 7 iterations. And if you had just done your correct prompting with the back and forth and just the validation, maybe you need a better validator. But, the point is now, I can see so many people doing 7, 10, 12, 100 iterations. And sure, it gets better. But at the same time, unless you're using something which gives you unlimited tokens, such as you're using an offline model. So you want to use, DeepSeek, you want to use Tianwen, you want to use, Gamma or Gemma, Gamma, Gemma. If you want to use Gemma or something, okay, cool. You've got unlimited tokens. Go wild, right? Have some fun. Or a really low priced system. But the point is, it's like 7 iterations to get to this. Great, though. It's actually doing adversarial, and I'll go over that in just a bit. But the point is, though, the token cost is going to be through the roof. So if you build something like this for your business and your business is growing, and you're like, yes, I'm doing great. Boom. Anthropic now brings out Fable or whatever their next model is going to be, which is now double the price. So if your business was relying on this price point per month and you're like, yes, I got like $200 a month. Now it's like $2,000 a month. And you're like, oh, I'm out of business. This is what's going to happen. Okay. So really, really important. You may not need this. Maybe for the first iteration, sure, right? You make a little budget and you say, okay, fine. You want to go at it? Wonderful. But then I would take whatever it created and use it as a shot. So if you go back to your prompt engineering, a shot is an example. All right. So the more examples that I have for the AI, or more shots or multi-shot, prompting, then the better the output's going to be. And I can literally say, okay, take a look at this web page that was made. I want you to now analyze this and generate the perfect prompt to me, and then give it a roll. Like, you are a UI UX web developer, and now create that prompt, right? So now the next time you put it through an actual agent loop, instead of 7 iterations, you might have 2. Okay, so that's going to help you to save some more actual, money in your prompting. All right, let's continue.
Is just an AI that reasons on what to do, acts on what to do, starts implementing, and then it observes the result. And it will do that over and over and over until some sort of goal is met, until it knows we've hit the stop criteria. This is good. I'm going to stop now. And it really
/goal. All the soccer fans, right? Everyone, goal, /goal. If you don't know about that one, that is a really cool item which can help you to direct your AI towards a certain, final view or final place, or, a goal. And so that's the thing, /goal. Remember it. You're going to see more of it.
simple visual that I like to think about is AI is never perfect, right? It's never going to one-shot something and you just accept that final output. And so if we have attempts on the x-axis and we have quality on the y-axis, let's think about this. On attempt 1, if you are just giving your agent some sort of simple task, maybe you get to, like, let's just say attempt 1, you get to 50%. And then you look at that and say, okay, here are some changes to make. And then by attempt 2, maybe you bump up another 5 or 10%. And every time that you give more feedback and iterate, you just kind of keep moving up on quality until you hit somewhere where you're okay with that 90, 95%. And so the whole idea is, why don't we
And so this is big, because guess what? If you don't tell it that 90 or 95% is good enough, and you say, go to 100, right? It will never hit 100 unless you're really, really lucky, because it's very vague. You don't know what 100 is. It might be like a really, high-end model that is like, I'm a perfectionist, called Mythos Fable, Mythos Fable the third. And I am going to say that 100% is when it's like 99.9999999%. And then, it just goes on forever and ever and ever. And guess what? That's actually great, because that could be the future of how they make money, right? They're like, oh, there's a whole bunch of silly developers who decided to use this type of agent loop system, and now we can take advantage of them. Let's just charge them a lot of money. So just remember, you got to be very clear on what your final goal is. Let's continue though. Let's listen. I'm pretty sure he's going to say something about it.
outsource this part, this feedback and iteration loop, to an agent rather than having the human do that? Because this is going to happen either way. So if we have an agent do that instead of a human, then what might happen is on attempt 1, we will go straight up to here. And then we can give a little bit more feedback. And then by attempt, 3 or 4, we're already so much higher than where we would have been without sort of that agent verification loop right there. And that's why a lot of people are explaining this in a different way, where some people have the think, act, see. We basically like reason, act, observe, reason, act, observe. Some people have the model just going back and forth with tools, back and forth, back and forth. Some people have just, a goal that runs completely unattended. And some people are using these like fleets of agents with managers prompting other agents, and it's just like, those Russian nesting dolls. So that's why
I am going back on that one there, because it's actually great to just kind of overview this, right? So think, act, see, and that is like the do while loop, in my opinion. Just really a lot of stuff. The AI model with tools, that is on repeat. That's just like continuous. It just like continues until it's done. Just keeps on going. The run on its goal, it's like you see the goal and the self prompt, and it's going back and forth, and then you see the manager with all the different sub items, sub agents. So there's a lot of different ways that this can be done, and a lot of it is what I would say adversarial. So I'm going to go over what that is, but it is like that's what I'm seeing here. It looks like loops is just kind of like an adversarial system. That is a deeper context or concept, but I'm going to explain what that is. It is a very cool concept that a lot of the AIs or a lot of the good AIs are built on. It's just this adversarial sort of system. So let's continue this here.
just like, those Russian nesting dolls. So that's why I wanted to put this into kind of the main pillars, which I think are reason, act, observe. Think of this like a smart intern that you don't micromanage. You hand them a goal, they figure out what to do next, they check their own work, and they go again, and then they only come back to you and say, hey, I'm done, after they've probably checked it a few times and made some changes. So you would say, okay, Claude Code, here's what I want you to do. We as humans are really, really good at defining what we want. We're really good at defining an end goal. And then on top of that, we have to say, okay, how do you know when that is done? So when you're making a cake, you stick the fork in it, and when it comes out and it doesn't have batter all over it, that means it's done. How do you tell your agent something as objective as possible? What is the stop criteria? What is the definition of done? And so what it will do is it will reason, it will plan out, and then it will start to implement.
I told you. This is very similar to what we call a do while loop. You continue doing this loop while some condition, and as long as that condition is not met, it will continue to do that loop until that condition hits. And when that condition hits, it's marked as done. All right. So it's one of those sorts of loops. And once again, it comes back to the world of programming, and that's exactly it. This is like, I'm seeing it over and over and over again. Let's continue.
After it implemented, it will observe. So maybe that's visual verification, maybe that's running an actual code test. Whatever it means to verify, it has to verify. And then after it looks at the results, it will say, okay, did I meet this done criteria? If no, I'm going to act again, then observe again, and then reason. Otherwise, I'm going to stop and I'm going to say, okay, Mr. or Mrs. Human, I am done. And what's really interesting is that the majority of tasks don't need loops. What I've started doing is for the majority of my tasks, I will build some sort of loop, but it's just because of the verification, right? This piece is so important, the verification loop. But a lot of times you don't need some sort of massive agent architecture in order to run this sort of like dynamic looping workflow. You can just get it done with one simple terminal session and a good prompt. You can have this be just a solo loop, which is what I'm typically doing the most. One agent that's reasoning, that's acting, observing, and repeating. And I'll show you guys some examples of what these loops might look like in just a sec. You can have a maker checker where you have one agent that does the thing and then one agent that grades the thing and gives feedback. Or you can have
boom, right there, that one there. That there is called an adversarial system, okay? A generative adversarial system. And this is really important. So a generative adversarial network is something that you've got two agents that are going back and forth, back and forth. And there was a really powerful one in the early days of AI. So imagine now, you and I have been giving all kinds of our photo data to places like Google and other places online where our photos are uploaded. Like it or not, they're in the cloud. We became the product, okay? And so with all of this data, one of these research places, I think it was a university or something, they decided to do this maker checker system, okay? This is called an adversarial, a generative adversarial network. You've got something that's going to make something. So imagine now going back to the photos, I took, an eyeball from here, an ear from here, an eyebrow from here, some hair from here, a beard from another person, and I just kind of threw it all together. And then you got something to check it, another, AI that checks it. And then it says, oh, that does not look like a human being. Go and do it again. And it goes back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. That's adversarial. And they're fighting back and forth until finally the checker can't tell that, this is actually good or bad. It says, you know what? Yep, it passed this quality check. I think it's a human being. Imagine if I could do that in a fraction of a second and then show you an image. And every single time that image that you see, well, it's a different thing. That image of that person doesn't really exist. That is what they built. And I'm just going to show you that there. This here is called "This person does not exist." All right, you can actually type that in. This person does not exist, and you're going to see this here. That's exactly what you just saw happen. This image did that in a fraction of a second. This person does not exist, and I could keep hitting refresh, and it'll be a different person every single time. And you had an adversarial network, two AIs battling each other. One AI is constructing the thing, the other one is checking the thing. All right, and it's checking the photo until it actually gets to that point. And if I hit refresh again, there we go. This person does not exist. Now, of course, there's things that tell us that, this is AI. Now, at the same time, though, these are the early days of AI. This existed like 4 or 5 years ago in the early days of AI, or I think even earlier. And as you can see here, you can see the earrings. They're very different, right? Different ear on each side. But aside from that, if you didn't know, you'd be like, oh my gosh, I'll hit refresh again. There we go. You know, I could tell because of the ear, it looks kind of like weird. Let's see here. Okay, there we go. Like every single time I'm refreshing. So that's happening. That battle is happening in a fraction of a second here. Right? This person doesn't exist. Right? Some of them are really like, wow, you know, like you can't tell. Some of them you could definitely tell. This one is pretty good. This one's pretty good, right? Like, and this is not real. This is not real. So that entire, you know, generative adversarial network, it just boom, they went against each other and did this in a fraction of a second. So that's what that is. That's an agent loop from, you know, what we're seeing there and from the way, you know, Nate just defined it. So that's actually a pretty cool, you know, idea. This was the first time I actually saw real AI at work back in the days. I'm talking about like so many years ago. It's literally been like what, 4 years, 5 years, but it's like, that's like the stone age of AI. Okay. But the point is like, this was huge at the time to see something like this and being able to do this was like wild, totally wild. Okay. Let's continue back. All right, there we go.
With a bunch of helpers. And then as long as you've got one main agent that's orchestrating the whole thing, then you can build these loops in so many different ways. So let me just show you guys a few examples that I pulled. These first two that I'm going to show you were actually from this loop library that Matthew Berman published. He created this loop library, which is a list of agent loops that you can use and people can go submit their own. So kind of cool to just go in here and play.
Matthew Berman, another incredible creator out there. So the loop library is really cool. Okay, so it's literally just looping through, doing exactly the same thing that we just said. Let's go over here to the loop library. There are so many different loops. Once again, though, this is recursion. Keep that in mind. So if you throw one of these onto, like, let's say Claude Code or Codex or whatever, and you put the information in, keep in mind it'll keep on running. So make sure that you're like there to stop it or whatever, or you know, your conditions are very clear. If you do not have clear conditions, it'll go till it decides to. All right. So just kind of be wise about that. Nate's going to explain that right now, just so that you hear it right now, but just keep that in mind. I like this one here. I want to actually test out this one. He's going to do one for like thumbnails. So let's check it out.
Play around with and see what's available. And I grabbed two for these first two demos. So this was the first one right here. It was a /goal prompt in Claude Code to make me a thumbnail. So I told it basically what to use to make them. It says make 10 thumbnail concepts and score each one against Mr. Beast YouTube thumbnails using a rubric, clarity at small size, curiosity, emotional pull, visual contrast, stuff like that. And after it makes those 10, it selects the top 3. It identifies the weakest part of each concept. It improves them, rescores them, and then it continues iterating on the strongest concept until it's satisfied. So that's one of the issues with this prompt here, is that the definition of done was until you're satisfied. And
that's exactly the point, right? Is when you're doing these loops, you're going in, you're creating a loop, you need to be very specific. And if you're not, it's like until it's satisfied, just what Nate just said just now, is like satisfied can mean very different things to different AIs and to people, right? Like I could not be satisfied and say, oh, it doesn't look as good as I want it to. I want it to be 100%, you know, looking like whatever it is, right? Whereas another person would be like, oh, it's a cool thumbnail and it works, right? So the same thing happens with AI, right? It's going to determine what is satisfied, what's not satisfied.
Sometimes you have to have these subjective sort of grading criteria, but you want to get it objective as possible. The best agent loops are where you literally say, keep iterating until X metric equals Y result. But you can see right here what it did is it created 10. We've got number 1, we've got number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5.
That one was so good. Check this out. Where was that one? Okay, go here. Where is it? No, not this one. Not this one. There was one before it. There you go. Nate, you're looking smart here, man. You're looking smart. I like this one. Loops, print, or burn. Oh, man, that's a good one. That's a good one. All right, let's continue.
Or number 5. It ended up choosing that number 1 was one of the top contenders, number 2, and so was number 8. So then it iterated on these. You can see here's number 1 original, here's number 1 V2, here's number 2 original, here's number 2 V2, and here's number 8 original, and here.
That hand kind of looks off. It really does. It looks kind of like that hand is like coming from somewhere else because it doesn't look like it's really attached to him. I love it when AI does this fun stuff. You know what I mean? It's like, dude, what's going on? What's going on with the hand? But this is what AI people, we can start noticing like fun stuff just like that. And of course, you know, you guys can do that now as well. But it's just like, Nate, whose hand is that? Let's continue, man.
Here's number 8 v2. And what it did is after those version 2s of all of it, it said, okay, number 8's the best. So here is number 8 v3. And so this is the final thumbnail that we got after we ran this goal, which took Claude Code 27 minutes right there. So that's one quick example of the loop. You can see it was...
That's wild. 27 minutes. All right. 27 minutes. So imagine the token usage and you're getting a thumbnail. So I want you to like think about what that was. 27 minutes to get a thumbnail. I can create a thumbnail like that in 5 minutes. Okay, just to let you know, I can go and use GPT Image 2, and I've got a really nice prompt that will get me exactly what I'm looking for within about 5 to 10 minutes at a fraction of the time and probably a fraction of the cost. So that's the other thing. Now, for those of you who have no clue how to do it, different story. So that is actually the balancing act here. If you have no idea how to do any of this or use any of these tools, then that's fine. Then this would actually be a good solution for you. But if you actually know AI and you know how to use these AI tools, this could literally be overkill. And so the balancing act here is like, how good is your AI skills? You know, where have you come? That do you feel comfortable actually being able to, you know, use something like GPT Image 2 or some of the other models to create something like this and steer the AI correctly? If you're not, then something like this is actually very good. It's very powerful. You're using adversarial to help you out. Really great. But then I can also do adversarial myself using these other models as well. But I can actually build it out even without using that many tokens. I can literally have Codex go and build me an app, or I can use anti-gravity to build me an app that could do adversarial on my system using an offline model. And now I've got unlimited tokens and unlimited stuff. And then I can, go back and iterate on that and say, like, this version took 27 minutes. I want it to be done in like 2 minutes, right? So always iterate on whatever has been built. That's how I think you'll get more value out of an agent loop than if you just kind of use the agent loop and then just keep on doing that over and over again. I think you're going to lose a lot more money and time over, the long run. Whereas if you keep on iterating it and getting it better and better and just say, okay, the first time I ran this was 27 minutes and it cost this much money. Now I want you to build me an app that can use an offline model. Maybe I'm using Gemma, maybe I'm using Olama, whatever it is, but can you do it offline, right? And some of you will use Comfy UI, right? So that one there gives you unlimited usage if you have a more powerful system. If you don't, well, then even still ask AI and just say, hey, how can I do this in a much more productive way that's going to save me more time and money? Maybe you'll say, you know what? Go and use the new NVIDIA models. They're giving it out for free, right? Like for a little while. Use AI to help you to save money. I mean, that was the whole point, is to save money and to save time. But if you're going to spend even more time and money than a graphic artist would have, then, what was this, this solve that AI was supposed to do? AI was supposed to solve something, and that was time and money. And if you're spending more time and more money than, what a human being would have done, that's what we're seeing in today's, society right now, is all these companies have now literally let go of all their staff. And then this could be a fun little one. Ferrari's going to get upset, but that's how you get the Ferrari e-car, the e-Ferrari. We get rid of all of our best designers and we create something that, okay, anyways, I had fun with the Ferrari. But yeah, the point is, do not, remove your best team members if they can do it faster. Have a balancing act, make your stuff better, or else what's going to happen is you're going to spend a lot more money in the long run, and somebody could have probably done this faster. Okay, let's continue though.
It was scoring each of these, and that's how it decided on the winner. But the one thing here is that these scores were subjective. So if we wanted to improve this flow, we would try to figure out how do we make this scoring more objective. And maybe what we would want to do is create a separate subagent that was a dedicated scorer, and we would prompt that scoring agent and run that through a bunch of evaluations so that we could feel more confident about its scoring ability. Anyways, let's take a look at the next one. So the next one was another /goal. As you can see right here, this one took 37 minutes. And the prompt for this one was right here, straight from Matthew Berman's loop library. I'm not going to read this whole thing. You guys can pause it right there if you want to see. But it was basically supposed to make a plane using Three.js. So I'll open that up right here. We can see this is the spinning plane that it made. We can sort of zoom in. We can move it around. And
I'm a game developer. It took a long time to make that. Now, granted, creating the app from scratch that can use Three.js, I mean, that's pretty cool. But like, if I just want to create something that will have a plane, I mean, I could go to the 3D model library and I can download a plane. I can just, set up a quick Three.js model loader and, I'll have that and spinning around. I could even have ChatGPT generate that for me. Like 37 minutes. Did he say 37 minutes? Did I hear that right? Let me just hear that again.
But it was basically supposed to make a plane using Three.js. So I'll open that up right here. We can see this is the spin, as you can see right here. This one took 37 minutes.
That was 37 minutes. Seriously. So, I mean, once again, if you know how to use AI and if you know this industry. So that's the other thing is like, these are great if you don't know the industry. So I'm a game developer by nature. That's like where I'm from. And so I know that creating this stuff, Three.js and so on, it wouldn't take me 37 minutes, especially when you add in AI and stuff. I could just have ChatGPT or even Codex or Claude generate me the Three.js code for loading any model. That will take literally like a minute or two, right? Maybe a couple minutes max. And then I could just go to, what is like Sketchfab and others. I don't know. There's like online model places where you can get free models, download it, it's done. Or I can even have it generate the model for me as a 3ds file or something like that, where boom, I could just throw it in and it's up and running. Like the point is now you think about how many tokens, how long it's taking to get this stuff done, and you could be doing it for a fraction of the cost. So I think loops are overkill if you know what you're doing. If you don't know what you're doing, loops are great, but once again, if you do have to do a loop, if I was doing this and I had no clue what I was doing, and I was like, I don't know the 3D industry, I don't know how to make these apps or whatever, and I want to make like this really cool app, I would have it generate the app. But then if I know I'm doing this more often or I'm going to do it again, I would re-give it the actual solution. I'll just say, okay, this is what you made last time. Do it better the next time, faster. We hit 37 minutes, get better, and keep on making it better and better and better, especially if this is something that you're doing over and over again. For some people, you're in social media and, you're creating these social media images. The first time around, like, you saw Nate create those actual like graphics. Okay, first time around, it took 27 minutes or whatever. The second time around, make sure it makes, like the entire thing, maybe 20 minutes, 15 minutes. Get it down to like a couple of minutes or even seconds if you can. And that's going to save you time. It's going to save you money. And then if you can get into deterministic systems, like go straight to N8N. Seriously, have an entire flow generated in N8N. Use Claude with the N8N MCP to generate something that is like one click. You know that in like 30 seconds to a minute, it's going to do exactly what it needs to do. And then have this kind of like guide and steer that workflow. You will reduce your token costs. You'll get better outputs that you can rely on. And on top of that, if you do it really good with offline models, you literally have unlimited AI usage. And I think that's where we're going to get to is like unlimited AI. All right. That's what I've been always fighting for. Is like, how do we get unlimited AI? Because I think that that's the future of computing, where we're walking around, our laptops and everything is just private AI living on our systems. And we're seeing that with NVIDIA building out that really cool chip, which was like half graphics card, half regular computer, GPU and CPU all in one, where it can just flop over to like the next, system when it's doing AI on board. I think the next laptops, and I mean, I don't even think it, I know it. We're going to see that in the next computers coming out, that it's just all going to be integrated and you don't have to rely on these other companies, except for, hey, I want the latest model. That's cool. Anyways, let me continue. I digress a little too much.
And the prompt for this one was right here, straight from Matthew Berman's loop library. I'm not going to read this whole thing. You guys can pause it right there if you want to see. But it was basically supposed to make a plane using Three.js. So I'll open that up right here. We can see this is the spinning plane that it made. We can sort of zoom in. We can move it around. And that is what we got. Now from a loop.
Look at those normals. Oh my goodness. The normals are horrendous. This is for all the game developers and the 3D modelers out there. You can see that there's a normal problem. It's a very normal problem. That is a geek joke for all of the 3D modelers and the people in the gaming space. All right. You know what I'm talking about with that 3D model, and its normals are inverted or something like that. But I can see right through that model.
looping
Oh
perspective, what it
man.
had to do was it had to build it and then verify, open up the browser, spin it around, see if it works, see if it's rendering properly. And then it kept iterating until we finally got this version. And as you can see still, like it's not perfect. There's some things we want to change. I think it was supposed to be see-through like this so we could like actually go look inside. But this is so much better than it would have been if I didn't give it that slash goal with the criteria and I just said, build me a 3D plane with, 3JS. So that's one of the key takeaways here. Agent loops and goals are not supposed to give you 100% perfect output. They're supposed to help you get much closer on the first try. And here's another great example of that with the whole subjectivity thing. Here's the last one I did, which is a prompt that I had Claude Code make, a slash goal. It was looking at this famous picture of the Beatles, Abbey Road. And then what I told it to do is recreate this without using image generation. So just recreating this using like HTML or CSS or whatever it wants to do. And then it goes through and it creates, version 1, version 2, version 3. And it ended up stopping after version 7. You can see the prompt here says, if the average is above 9 or equal to 9, then stop. And that's when you end. The other thing it said is hard cap on 8 passes. So it was getting near that cap either way. But these images are not very good. What we can see though is that it did its verification. So each time it went through and created the HTML, it had to actually put it in a browser and then it would take a screenshot of it. You can see here's the screenshot for number 1.
So I'm going to discuss this point here because this is really important. And this is where a lot of people make a mistake or mess up. And so right now, you need to understand this is in Claude code. Okay. The harness is a coding harness. It's going to attack this problem as a coding harness. That means its focus is on code. So the only thing it knows to actually get this thing to look like an image is code. And so that's what it's doing. As you can see here, if I just, go back here, look what it's done. It's literally using what it knows as the harness. So that's it. That's why this is going to suck out no matter what. Okay, so this is now coming from the development standpoint. I need you guys to understand this because everybody makes this mistake because they don't understand AI at the foundational levels, right? So it's like, okay, I'm using Claude Code. It's a coding harness, all right? This is why understanding agentic harnesses is very important. So I'm going to go back and reiterate this because you guys need to understand what an agentic harness is, okay? Let's go back to that horse example. I've shown this before. I'm going to show it again. Here's my horse. Yes, my drawing sucks. Okay, my beautiful horse. And I'm going to draw its other leg. All right, there we go. And my horse has a tail. It's a very bad tail. And it's got some ears. Okay, there we go. Shut up. Shut up. This is a good looking horse, okay? This is a great looking horse. He's got a cool set of eyes. And I'm going to draw him out here. Yeah, he looks like a cool horse there. And we're going to give him a smile because he's a happy horse. Okay, happy, hopeful, great stuff. I don't know why it looks weird, but whatever. Shut it, okay? We're enjoying our horse. All right, but coming back to the whole point here, okay? When you think about horses, and coming back to carriages, harnesses, if I want this horse to actually move me, I would have to have a strap around its neck. And then me, the person over here, well, I don't have a good harness. This is just a basic strap here. And the strap, if I hold on to it, it'll allow me to, have the horse move me. So the horse will move forward and I will get dragged behind it. If I want this horse to move left and right, I'll put something in its mouth so that I could turn its head as well. And now, there we go. I've got that. And now I can move the horse left and right as it moves forward. Okay, so this is how I take raw power and I can convert it into, controllable power. If I want to sit on this, I'll create like a seat and another set of straps that go around the horse with hopefully something that I can kind of step on here. There we go. That's like for me to step on. And now I can walk over to the horse and I can step on the horse and I can sit down on it. And there we go. This here is a regular harness for me to sit down on. That is a harness on a horse, but that's just one type of harness. There are other harnesses that were made. So there were harnesses that, for example, had a carriage. And so now I got this carriage here. Sorry, ignore my drawing, but there we go. I got this carriage. And now I've got a different harness which connects up to this horse so that it can now take that carriage. All right. And if I want more horsepower, I would have another harness, a different type of harness that could connect up several horses. All right. So there's another horse over here. Okay, ignore my drawing. There's a horse. Okay, that's a horse. That's a horse. Okay, so now that's a different harness. Different harnesses have different outputs, different things that they're supposed to do. And so different power items. So that's exactly what happened here. So when you saw Nate going in and asking Claude Code, oops, let's go back here. Where was that? Yeah, right here. So he asked Claude Code to actually go and create an image. The only thing it knows is code. It's a harness that was built for code. Thus, its actual solution was code. If I went to a harness that was focused on image generation, all right, Midjourney is a different type of thing. But like, for example, I could use GPT's image 2. That would give me a much more better output because that harness and the entire system is focused. Even the model itself is focused on images and image generation. And if I had something that was UI UX based, it might actually have a better output than just this. This is trying to make a full website using HTML, and maybe its CSS skills aren't the greatest. Maybe it's not made for CSS, but maybe there's another harness or model that is very good at it. And so you want to understand what model you're using, what harness you're using, and what it's really good at. I would not have chosen that specific prompt from the prompt library to use in Claude Code for this specific solution. I would have used a different harness and a different model. All right. So that's the thing, is you want to understand what you're trying to do and what harness and model you want to do. Okay. I think I've kicked a dead horse long enough. You got the pun. It's a dad joke. Shut it. Let's continue.
Created the HTML. It had to actually put it in a browser, and then it would take a screenshot of it. You can see here's the screenshot for number 1, here's version 2, here's version 3, here's version 4. So we can see it in real time, getting better and better with each version, with each iteration. But still, this is the one that it gave me at the end. And obviously that looks nothing like the picture. We've got the car here, we've got the trees, we've got the road, we've got yellow, black, gray, light blue, just like the actual image. If I go back here, did I say yellow? I meant to say white. White, black, dark gray, light blue. And so obviously it's nothing like it. If we would have done this with image generation, it could have been probably much closer, but I just wanted to try how that would work with pure code. The point being, it had the verification checks, it had the ability to take screenshots and look through each of its iterations, understand how did this still not look like the reference image and what changes do we need to make each time. And so that's why a loop is only going to be as good as its done check, as the done criteria. So there's 2 things you need to think about before you build your first loop or your goals. What does done mean? And then how will it check? Because let's say you're building an actual game, a game that you can open up on your PC and play. It would have to check that in many ways. It would have to check visually, it would have to check functionally, and it would have to play the levels and see if anything breaks. If you're writing some sort of like script, how does it?
By the way, for the game industry, that is not easy to do. One of the best game jobs that I used to think about when I was a young kid was like, I want to be a game tester. It is like one of the worst jobs you can get because you have to play over and over and over again. In fact, that's where AI would be really, really good. But you're like, oh, that's so cool, until you actually get into actually being a game tester. And that is crazy. And it's part of the whole QA system. You're repeating the exact same tests over and over again, looking for a bug. Like, did I walk through a wall, or did I, did the camera change here? Or did the texture change over there? Those things actually make the whole world of game testing and gameplay boring. All right. And so that is where actually AI doing a check is very, very good. But we used to have many different things. Even till today, we use many of the other testing tools that are out there to help us out. Now with AI, it actually helps us out even more. There's a lot of new models that have come out. I would recommend checking Hugging Face because there's a lot of different models that actually do testing like that if you are in the game dev world. So let's continue.
Check. It doesn't need to check visually. It just needs to check flow. It needs to check that it sounds like your tone of voice. It needs to check in other ways. So based on what you're building, the verification checks obviously look different, and it's your job to make sure that your agents have the right tools in order to do those checks. And then, of course, on the other side, what does done mean? Like I mentioned earlier, if you can get as objective as possible with a specific metric, then that's best. But sometimes you can't. Sometimes you have to say until you're 100% confident, right? And so like my most common use of these loops is when I use hyperframes in Claude Code to edit videos, because I will basically chuck it in, do a slash goal, and it does everything for me. It has to get the transcript, cut out the mistakes and the pauses. It has to make the beats. It has to sync the beats. It has to obviously render them. And then it has a ton of verification on making sure that all of the beats are in bounds and that they line up with the transcript correctly. And that is how you're able to see a lot of these people say, okay, I did this with one shot, with one prompt, because it was a loop, because it had verification and iteration. So what makes a loop actually work? A checkable goal, a hard stop, good tools, memory, a separate checker, planning first, logging, and then making it make sense with the cost. Because a lot of times these loops can run for a long time. And especially if you have a pretty hard goal, a goal that might take a lot of iteration. And then if the done criteria is also very hard, where maybe it just can't actually ever hit that, then that thing's going to run for a long time. So I've had.
Okay, I want to go over that again before Nate turned into double size Nate. Before Nate turns to double his size. There we go. All right. So a checkable goal. All right. Coming back to that, that is like our loop. So if you think about the while loops, the do while loop, and this going back into the world of programming. All right. We're just going to go into the world of programming. Remember your programming school. All right. So you had your like do while. So do while, okay, some, condition, and then open bracket or open brace, close brace. You remember the braces, yeah? All right. And then, do something. All right. So do something here, and then make sure that I change the condition. Okay. So the challenge here is if the condition doesn't change, you may never reach this some condition. So you need to make sure that you for sure are going to get to that some condition. So let's go back to some of this here. All right. So that's your checkable goal, is some condition. That is your goal. And it's doing it on every loop. At the end of a loop, it's going to do that. All right. And so hold on, let me just move myself over here now. I'm in the top right, top left. I have to keep on moving myself because Nate's got some good content, and I'm like, my face is just right in all of it. Next is a hard stop. Max number of tries. That's actually a good idea. So what ends up happening is I can literally put inside of, let's say, once again, the do while loops, I could put some additional variable that says, if I get to this max number of tries, exit the loop. All right. Inside of the world of programming, we call that a break. That's right. Break. All right. Okay. So you definitely want to have like a hard stop. That's going to make sure that, it either quits at that point or it does not. Now, here's the thing. This is why I keep on going back to N8N. Okay. N8N has those foundational items already inside of there. We can make this inside of N8N, and it's not going to cost me as much, and I can visually see it. The problem here is that things like Claude and, Codex or ChatGPT or whatever you're going to use, they are black boxes. What that means is I can't see what they're doing inside. I just put it out there and I pray that it works. Whereas with N8N, I can at least visually see what's going on, and I can make those changes and say, oh, well, on this loop here, on loop number 999, it died because the variable that was coming in, or the data that was coming in, actually failed because, you know what? I just hit the server too fast, too hard, and the server died. And so the whole entire thing failed. And that's why it didn't hit the condition, right? So I can visually see where it broke, whereas inside of like the system here, I can't. And so we're kind of like guessing. This is what this is. This is the problem, is we're kind of building more code or more items to actually fix the very root of the problem, right? So now this hard stop, the max tries, is you're hoping that it's going to work in X amount of tries, right? But it's like, if you knew what it was doing in the first place, then you don't have to kind of like pray that it's going to work. I mean, pray all the time. Absolutely. Name like Solomon Christ, I'm praying, right? But my point is, it's like with a black box system, it's a challenge. And so this is kind of what we put in to, hopefully get our solution or not lose a whole bunch of tokens and time. All right. Time and money. That's what the hard stop is there to protect. So it's like we just added a bunch of complexity to help us with a problem that we actually brought in with this loop. All right. That's why I go right back to N8N. I think it's a great system, which helps us out with that. It's not a black box. It is a visual box that we can see what's going on. Good tools. The actions it can take must be reliable and clearly described. So search, run code, edit a file. Okay, so that is just clarity, just like here, do exactly this, use this specific tool. If you don't have that tool name, then, it kind of sucks. It's like, find me a tool that does this. It could go on for hours finding a tool. So that's where that good tools comes in. Be clear about what specific tools you got. Memory, keep the history, but summarize it so the context doesn't bloat. This just comes back to just general context engineering and helping out, you're using /clear or when you have the actual MD file set up, or you're using /compact, which will just kind of like bring it down. That's the summarization, but keeping your context windows always taken care of. That's good there. A separate checker. All right. That's a good one. That's always just kind of like checking with another AI. Are you done yet? Are you done yet? But that's kind of like, similar to what we're doing inside of a loop. The loop is checking, or you're actually doing a different form of detection. Once again, it's just another form of detection. Do you really need it? Maybe, maybe not, right? Plan first. If it's a big multi-step job, have it write a plan before acting. If it's a small job, skip it. So there's plan mode in many of these systems. So have it do a plan and then just verify the plan. The trouble is we become, a little bit more lazy, and I'm a culprit too. Don't worry. I also do this too, where it's like, you know what? The plan looks good. I didn't even read it. Just boom, go ahead. Do it because I don't have time. Right. And then you come back. It's like, that's not what I wanted. Right. So try and read your plans. That'll help you out. Logging. Save every thought, action, and results so you can debug at 3 a.m. That is useful. There's times where you want to log it, but once again, that's why I go back to things like N8N, because it's execution system is pretty good. But if you're going to log as text, that's going to help you out. But I think it's going to be overkill, especially if you're going through a whole bunch of stuff. So I'd say if a log is not worthwhile, don't add it. Just kind of like, make sure you're not logging random stuff that's useless. Okay. Many times it'll be like hello world or something like that. You just log that because you wanted a debug log. Sometimes too much logging is overkill. Make sure you delete old logs. So, just comment them out or just have the AI go through it. That's a problem because it's like, how do you comment inside of like a probabilistic system like that? Right. It's like, Claude, go and like comment this out. Don't do it. I don't know. At least in code, at least I could comment something out, but it's like, in agent, I don't know how to do it. Cost sense. Loops can burn tokens. Absolutely. That's why I was telling you that from like the beginning. Okay. So make sure that you're not going through, a lot of loops and burning through tokens. Okay, let's continue.
Actually ever hit that, then that thing's going to run for a long time. So I've had a couple loops that have gone for 12 hours plus, and they're just not like super useful to me. Most of the time when I'm running loops that run for a while, it's usually more like these. It's usually things that take like 35 minutes or maybe a couple hours, but I don't need a loop that's going to run for 4 days straight. I just don't really need that. So another kind of message that I'm trying to send here is just because you're seeing someone like Peter Steinberger saying something like this doesn't actually mean that this applies directly to you and your use case, because he's a hardcore coder. He's building agents. He works at OpenAI. This probably makes a lot of sense for the way that he works and has probably 10x'd his productivity. And that's the cool thing about AI, is that because it's going to seep into every single vertical and every single role, not everyone will use it the same. So it's good to stay up to date with what people like Peter Steinberger are saying, but that doesn't mean you have to drop everything right now and go try it.
So very, very important point. Okay. So I'm a developer by trade. That's what I'm, what I was born and raised to do. I've been coding since I was 10. But my point is, what Nate just said, it's a very true point. If you are not doing development at those levels, or if you aren't creating something where like a consistent loop will actually save you time, then these agent loops are overkill. They really are. But like, for example, if I know that, something is going to take me like 12 hours to do, all right, and in coding, then I will literally use a loop. It is a great, opportunity to continue going through. But then what I would do is I would actually put human in the loop. All right. I put myself inside of there where I can actually send a message to my AI and have it respond back to me via Telegram or something. And that could be N8N inside of that whole entire mix. It's like, okay, send this off to Claude, let Claude do its thing, but I can now at least talk to my agent somehow. And I mean, there's the Claude edition of that. I think they have Dispatch or something. I don't know about Dispatch. I haven't tested it. If you've tested Dispatch, let me know. I have not tried Dispatch. I'll use like OpenClaw and other things, but I'll just kind of like have something built in which allows me to kind of detect what's going on. That's kind of like how you can do some of those things, but I don't know. Everyone has their own different way of doing things. For me, it's like I'll actually put stuff inside of there. But if you're coding something big, and there's portions of your processes and procedures or your SOPs that are very lengthy. And so, like Nate said, for example, this is great for his video editing, and I use it as well for my video editing. I use the hyperframe stuff, and it saves a lot of time. But if you're not going to be having something like that, that's like massive multi-step, that's going to take a lot of time, this may be overkill and a lot of cost tokens wise. So just letting you know that. All right, let's get.
Maybe it's good to try it, but that doesn't mean you have to fully integrate it into every single Claude Code session forever. So anyways, coming from a non-coding background, coming from a perspective of someone who uses Claude Code all the time, 24/7, but I use it for knowledge work rather than massive database code-based refactors and building software and building apps every day. That's kind of the way that I feel about these agent loops, and I've been seeing a ton of stuff about them lately, so I felt like I needed to come in here and just share my opinions on it. Some of you guys may disagree with this, but that's the way that I've been using them because I do use them. I just don't go for those fancy runs that run for like 3 days straight. A lot of times if I have a big goal, I will shoot off a nice chunky loop before I go to bed, and I can wake up with something that's ran for maybe 4, maybe 8 hours. And that is truly very beneficial. But a lot of that stuff is more experimental for me. And then I'm able to take that output I got from the overnight run and then chuck it back into some more loops or iterate on that myself as a human. So there's a little bit more detail that was covered in this slide deck, as well as this full audit, which is way more wordy and super ugly to look at. But I will attach both of these sources in my free school community if you guys want to check all that out. The link for that is down in the description.
And of course, there's Nate's paid school community. So you can go to either one. The free one will get you that as well. And once again, if you want, you can actually, scan in this QR code and you could join AIS Plus and you can get access to a lot of these incredible resources. Okay. There's so many great things inside of there that'll help you out. And for those of you who don't know, I actually started in Nate's free community. And look at me now. That's right. I'm doing well. Thank you, Nate. Everybody just rising together. And now, this is our opportunity to grow. And I've been blessed to be able to connect with a lot of incredible AI creators around the world, like Jack Roberts and, Marcel, and you get to meet Amel and of course, many others, Sabrina Romanoff. I got to meet a lot of great creators. There's Eric, he knows it. What's up, Eric? Alexandra, and many others. There's so many people in my community that are doing great things, and I'm always promoting them and growing with them. And that's the thing, is like, find a community of people that you like, that are also building, that are growing. And once again, inside of Nate's paid community, you're going to find a lot of people like myself who are there, who are just building every single day. And we've found a way to make money in AI. And so it's like, oh my gosh, I want to make money. I want to make money. Guys, here's a simple, answer. Help someone else. When you help someone else by saving them time or money, you're valuable. That's it, right? So I teach people. That's one of my gifts is education. And so I'm an AI enterprise trainer. For others, it's like, maybe you're very good at building out these workflows. All right. I could create them. I'm a developer by trade, but it's like, I'll sit down and I'll solve problems in different ways, but I will not be the guy who's just like 24/7, just behind a computer, just doing that. That's just not me. I love learning. I love teaching, but that's my gift. What's yours? What is your gift? What is that thing that you could do that can help save someone time and money? Maybe that is education. Maybe it is, helping someone out. For me, I love also talking, right? So that's why the YouTube happened. And I'm very good at making videos because I used to do YouTube when I was younger. And, that helped me out. So I've got these skills. I also was a game developer and I used to do live streams on Twitch. Hence why I could do live streaming very easily. So I kind of like brought all those skills together and I'm putting it together. Marketing, when I go out on stages and speaking, I've got my shirt and everything. So it's like, okay, I could do these things. That's my gifts. And I put them together and I build something and now I become valuable. And when you become valuable, you become an asset, and that is what you want to do. And so I see people who are coming out to me all the time. They're saying, okay, Solomon, how do I make money? How do I make money in this AI stuff, right? Go down to your basic core. What are your basic things that are, you're doing every single day that you're repeating time and again? Start there. All right. And then become a person of value, become indispensable to people, right? That's going to really, really help you out. And, if you can help others rise, they're going to help you rise. And that's it. And that's what I love about the communities, especially with Nate Herk's community as well. You're just going in, getting to see other people who are doing the same type of thing, and everyone wants to help out and rising. And of course, Nate just does it, right? He's a beast. He just works hard, and I love that about him. And he's a great guy. So yeah, let's look at a few other videos. And if you're watching me live, go ahead, type something. I want to see you. I want to say hello. I'd love to hear what some of our fans are saying, what some of you are saying out there. Let's look at some other cool videos here. I like this one here. This was actually a pretty cool little video. This is one of his older ones where he was using N8N to generate images. And so it's like, you got this workflow here, but it's like, I'm going to teach you guys something here. N8N and Claude Code, or in fact, any other thing. N8N brought out its MCP in like April, and it's really good. It really is really good. And so I've connected that up. And so I'm like, okay, I want to create something like this, but for GPT image 2. All right. So that's the whole entire thing. And so we're going to watch some of Nate's video here. This is an older video. It's showing you how to actually generate different graphics. And I'm always generating graphics for LinkedIn. So if you're like doing social media and stuff, my two major social medias are LinkedIn and YouTube. So for you guys, I listen to Gary Vee a lot, and it's like so many of us are like trying to do like 50 different, social media platforms. And that's great. If that works for you, that's fine. In fact, there's things like Blotato, my friend Sabrina, she actually created Blotato. I'm so grateful to know her. Incredible stuff. If you want to hit like so many different markets, then check out Blotato for sure. But if you are like, like my opinion on it is choose one or two social medias that you can like dive deep on and do really well on. And so for me, that is YouTube and LinkedIn. And that's what I've been just really focusing, hammering hard on. And so that's why when I saw this video of Nate's, I'm like, okay, let's go in, let's dive in and let's kind of watch that. This is an older one. All right. So now I've shown you a new one. Okay. And now I'm also going to show you an old one, and I'm going to show you a couple of fun techniques that we could use. All right. So let's actually watch this here. And we'll spend maybe until like 10 o'clock, 10 p.m. It's like 9 p.m. here Eastern time, which is, I think, 6 p.m. in the Pacific. So if you're watching from Cali, all my friends in LA over there, back and forth, I'm all over the place. But yeah, if you're in that time zone, welcome. All right. So let's watch this one here. And I think this could be really useful if you're creating content or creating stuff on LinkedIn. I think LinkedIn itself is like this powerhouse that people are missing out on. All right. Seriously, I think that's going to be the next big thing. It's got a professional market. So if you are in AI and automation, you're like, man, I really need to get into building a business. I think LinkedIn is the place where you're going to get those really powerful connections of people who are in the business world. These are CEOs. These are people who are, decision makers. That's the place for it, right? And if you do that, I mean, that's where I've been able to grow as well. I think that's a great place. So let's watch this video here and let's check out this one of Nate's incredible content.
So this workflow right here, all I have to do is enter in ROI on AI automation, and it will spit out this LinkedIn post.
Whoa, that was fast. I don't know why it did that. So we're going to slow this thing down. Oh my goodness, this thing is like 3x the speed. I don't know how many of you could do that. I could actually listen to it at that speed, by the way, just in case you didn't know. This is actually pretty cool here. This is actually a speed system. As you actually get faster and faster at listening things, you can see them at 2x, 3x. I can go at around 3x the speed, which is actually pretty cool. So let's watch this here.
For me. And if you look at this graphic, it's insane. It looks super professional. It even has a little LinkedIn logo in the corner, but it directly calls out the actual statistics that are in the post based on the research. And for this next one, all I typed in was mental health within the workplace, and it spit out this post. According to Deloitte Insights, organizations that support mental health can see up to 25% increase in productivity. And as you can see down here, it's just a beautiful graphic. So a few weeks ago when ChatGPT,
I love that. That is so cool. So that's why when I saw this one, I'm like, yo, I want to set that up, because a lot of times, we're doing things like LinkedIn. So if you're like me, I'm on LinkedIn a lot in the professional world, right? So I'm an enterprise AI trainer. And so a lot of professionals are watching me and they're seeing some of the stuff that I'm creating. Many times I've got news or the latest news sources or the latest stuff that just came out. There was something that just came out that even Nate was promoting and talking about called Sakana Fugu. And I was like, I'm confused about this stuff. Like, what is this Fugu business? Or I don't know, was it called Fugu or Fulu or I don't know, something like that. And I was like, I got to create this infographic or something that's going to help me out. And, I was researching it. I was trying to understand it, and it's an orchestrator model. And it was like interesting. But can you imagine if I had something like this? It would save me some time for sure. And so that's the hope there, is that I can save time. I mean, that's the point of AI, is to save time and money. So let's go ahead and let's look at this here. And then I'm going to try and create some tweaks. I'm going to get my Claude with its N8N MCP to generate something like this using GPT Image 2 for me, and specifically a few changes here and there. So let's see what we could do.
He came out with their image generation model. You probably saw a lot of stuff on LinkedIn like this, where people were turning themselves into action figures, or some stuff like this, where people were turning themselves into Pixar animation style photos or whatever it is. And obviously I had to try this out myself. And of course,
I did that. I had one of those. Man. I created that, man. Whenever these things came out, I had the cartoon version. What did he do? The little toy? Let me go back here. We had the toy. There it is. I had this toy, man. When the toy came out, I created my own little toy version as well. It was so cool. You know, whenever these viral little meme things come out, you know, they're really nice. And I forget the website. There was a website that came out with the latest memes. But if you want to find out some of these really cool graphics memes, just go on Twitter and type in like, you know, AI prompt or graphics prompts. There's a lot of incredible creators creating like prompts just like, you know, this here, where you just copy paste the prompt and it creates these really cool graphics and stuff. So if you didn't know how to do it, there's so many out there, and there's some really wild ones. Definitely check it out. Twitter is where you're going to find a lot of them, or X, okay? SpaceX, XA. I don't know who owns which one. It's all Elon Musk, but he's got like his companies own like all of the different ones. Yeah, you get the point. Anyways, let's continue.
Myself. And of course, this was very cool and everyone was getting really excited. But then I started to think about, how could this image generation model actually be used to save time for a marketing team? Because this new image model is actually good at spelling and it can make words that don't look like gibberish, it opens up a world of possibilities. So here's a really quick example of me giving it a 1-sentence prompt, and it spits out a poster that looks pretty solid. Of course, we were limited to having to do this in ChatGPT and coming in here and typing, but now the API is released, so we can start to save hours and hours of time. And so the automation I'm going to show with you guys today is going to help you turn an idea into a fully researched LinkedIn post with a graphic as well. And of course, we're going to walk through setting up the HTTP request to OpenAI's image generation model. But what you can do is also download this entire template for free, and you can use it to post on LinkedIn, or you can also just kind of build on top of it to see how you can use image generation to save you hours and hours within some sort of marketing process. So this workflow right here, all I had to do was enter in ROI on AI automation, and it was able to spit out this LinkedIn post for me. And if you look at this graphic, it's insane. It looks super professional. It even has a little LinkedIn logo in the corner, but it directly calls out the actual statistics that are in the post based on the research. So 74% of organizations say their most advanced AI initiatives are meeting or exceeding ROI expectations right here.
Like, this is time saving. Oh my goodness. Now, of course, I want to speak about AI generated stuff, right? Of course, it's AI slop. All right. We get it. But what you want to do is, if you are human in the loop and you're able to kind of watch what it's, you know, what it's saying and validate that, I think what's going to happen is, if you are assisting the AI and using your voice along the way, yes, this saves time. And I think it's actually, you know, good to do. I mean, that's the whole point of AI, is use it wisely to help us out. If you're just doing it like just clicking and just forgetting it and letting it do its thing, I think that's where you're going to see the future bans coming out and so on. So if you actually do this and you're using human in the loop, I think that's actually fair game for everybody. We're all doing that. A lot of us are doing that, and it's saving a lot of time. I mean, generating images and all that to grow your capacity, I think that's great. Just validate what has been written. And so I always put things in draft mode. I always make sure that there's human in the loop. And in fact, what I do is I don't even let it go into LinkedIn. What I do is actually have a system that pre-creates this stuff for me. And then I kind of detect it. I check it out. And then I say, okay, yeah, this is good, this is bad. And then I just actually go and I will actually manually schedule it. And so, you know, that's okay for me. Like, you know what? I do that on a Sunday. I'll go through and I'll just pre-schedule everything manually. And, you know, I mean, it's pre-generated for me. I'm saving a lot of hours. But then what ends up happening is it helps you twofold. Number one, it's you detecting, you know, is this my voice? Is this my brand? Is this my message? And number two, it also helps with bots, because if you just let it go wild, it's going to detect the bots and you get your entire account locked out. That kind of sucks. And then later on, as you're doing it really, really well, and you've, you know, built up a flow and you've got an SOP, hire somebody, give someone a job. That's completely fine. I mean, you're making money now, right? You're making money, you're saving money and time. Give someone a job, give them an opportunity, and they can now repeat that process. And it's not hard. It's something that they do part-time, and they get the opportunity and help them learn, right? So you're teaching them. I think that is the future of where we should be with AI, is a good balance mixed with human in the loop, with things that will save you time and money. But if you just automate everything to such a level where you're not touching it and it's just doing everything, pretty soon it's just going to be caught. And yeah, if not today, maybe 2 years, 3 years, 5 years from now, it's going to become more and more frowned upon. And we're seeing that in things like YouTube and stuff, where we're seeing that AI slop videos and all that stuff that's being made. I mean, I get it. It's headless content. It's working for the most part, but pretty soon it's going to get more and more hammered on, where it's going to be detected. And if not, fully removed, you may not be able to monetize on that in the future, right? Things like that might actually happen. So just keep that in mind. I don't know what's going to happen. YouTube determines what's going to happen. But if it's not that, then we're going to start getting into what we call gated communities. And that is where people are going to pay for human guaranteed content, where it is specific human only. Now, for this part here, I would do this, but in a way where I can actually go in, human in the loop, check the graphic, check the text, make sure it makes sense, and then pre-prep it on, let's say, on a Sunday, and just then have it pump out for later times. And yeah, maybe I might use the API with LinkedIn as long as I'm doing it legit. I think it's actually all good, fair game, and you're building a good brand. So save time, save money, but just have that good balance. All right, that's my opinion. There we go. Continue.
And on the other side, we can see that only 26% of companies have achieved significant AI-driven gains so far, which is right here. And I was just extremely impressed by this one. And for this next one, all I typed in was mental health within the workplace, and it spit out this post. According to Deloitte Insights, organizations that support mental health can see up to 25% increase in productivity. And as you can see down here, it's just a beautiful graphic. Something that would probably take me 20 minutes in Canva. And if you can now push out these posts in a minute rather than 20 minutes, you can start to push out more and more throughout the day and save hours every week. And because the post is being backed by research, the graphic is being backed by the research post, you're not polluting anything into the internet. A lot of people in my comments call it AI slop. Anyways, let's do a quick live run of this workflow, and then I'll walk through step by step how to set up this API call. And as always, if you want to download this workflow for free, all you have to do is join my free school community. Link is down in the description. And then you can search for the title of the video. You can go into YouTube resources. You need to find the post associated with this video. And then when you're in there, you'll be able to download this JSON file, and that is the template. So you download the JSON file, you'll go back into end-to-end, you'll open up a new workflow, and in the top right, you'll go to import from file, import that JSON file, and then there'll be a little sticky note with a setup guide just sort of telling you what you need to plug in to get this thing to work for you. Okay, quick disclaimer though, I'm not actually going to post this to LinkedIn. You certainly could, but I'm just going to basically send the post as well as the attachment to my email because I don't want to post on LinkedIn right now. Anyways, as you can see.
So here's what I'm going to do. I'm literally going to take a screenshot of this because I've got Claude and the N8N MCP. And obviously this video is like, what, a year old or something? What is this? What was this one? This was a year ago, right? So it's like, we've got GPT Image 2, which is a really good model. And I may not be using, like, for example, I'm not using Tablet yet. I might in the future, but right now it's like, I don't need to research what I need. I just want to get to generating the image with an AI image prompt. I think that's a good idea there. And then converting to binary, the whole thing. So I'm going to do this. Oh my gosh, I think like it's like a real thing. I'm going to hit Windows key, Shift S. I'm going to take a screenshot of this here. So I see this workflow. And of course, you can go to Nate's community and download it as well. That's another opportunity for you. And so I'm going to now go into like Claude here. I've got my Claude window open, and I'm going to paste this in. And I'm going to say to Claude, I want you to, I'm typing this in, but you can actually, you could speak it in, but I want you to generate this workflow for me in my N8N. I want to be able to change it so that it literally just takes a topic or text that I'm, thinking about creating and writing about on my LinkedIn as a post. So as a post, and generates the image for me using GPT Image 2 instead of GPT Image 1. So now I'll get a much better output. And ask me any clarifying questions so that I get a really good workflow that I can reuse again and again. There we go. So now I'm going to let it ask me questions just in case it doesn't know something. That's always a great thing to do, especially when you're using things like Claude. Claude is very good at that, and it's going to now, ask me several questions that I might be like, okay, how do I want to trigger this? Like, that's a great thing, right? So they're using an N8N form. I think the N8N form is good. So I'll do 1, N8N form is good. All right, and I'm going to put a comma. 2, what inputs do you want to provide per run? Just text-based, so just text-based. I might think of a visual style, maybe. Who knows, right? Maybe like or you can give me a drop down or suggestions. Yeah, or suggestions, etc. Or baked in, I guess. Yeah. Well, no, I don't know. I'll change things. Um, but I have a brand guideline and colors. So this is another thing. So I actually have like a set of colors and brand guideline. So I would recommend that if you're actually not even into marketing or whatever, but just create a set of colors that you use. So here's mine here, for example. So these are mine. These are mine. Mine, not mind. The heck? These are mined. Who writes that? Who writes these are mined? These are mine. Okay, I'm going to paste that in. So there we go. And then I'm going to put another comma. Hold on. Does shift enter work here? Yes, it does. Okay, good. Number 3. Let's see here. What is number 3? Okay, number 3. For the image itself, what is your brand aesthetic? I just put that there. Okay, so I already did that. I just answered that. There we go. Number 4. What does number 4 say? What do you want delivered in the end? I want an image and a LinkedIn post for me to copy paste over. And it should be highly researched. Don't just give me nonsense. Have actual researched stuff. So, sometimes they'll just go out there and be like, I just made this up, right? Why do you want that? Made up. And it says, do you want a Claude step in the middle to craft the actual image prompt for your topic, or do you want to write the image prompt yourself each time? Yes, have a Claude step or OpenAI step in the middle, in the middle, that will generate the prompt. There we go, man. I'm having trouble writing here, man. What's going on? All right. I think that's it. All right, there we go. Let's see what it's going to do. There's no number 6. No number 6. All right, there we go. So let's see what it does. All right. So it's going to try and generate something here inside of my N8N. And so let's see what it does. We should see it come inside of the overview here. But as it's doing its thing, let's continue on Nate's video here. This one here. There we
See here, this workflow is starting with a form submission. So if I hit test workflow, it's going to pop up with a form where we have to enter in our email for the workflow to send us the results, topic of the post, and then also I threw in here a target audience. So you could have these posts be kind of flavored towards a specific audience if you want to. Okay, so this form is waiting for us. I put in my email, I put the topic of morning versus night people, and the target audience is working adults. So we'll hit submit, close out of here, and we'll see the LinkedIn post agent is going to start up. It's using Tably here for research, and it's going to create that post and then pass the post on to the image prompt agent. And that image prompt agent is going to read the post and basically create a prompt feed into
Tably, so I
OpenAI's
don't know if it's going to
image
work.
generator. And as you can see, it's doing that right now. We're going to get that back as a base 64 string, and then we're just converting that to binary so we can actually post that on LinkedIn or send that in email as an attachment. And we'll break down all these steps, but let's just wait and see what these.
So that's actually an important point, is many times we're going to get some image data, and convert to binary is a very powerful node inside of N8N. And so many times we're getting a base 64 and you want to convert it over. That is a very useful tool because many times you're converting back and forth between files. Very useful node. I use that a lot. So just want to kind of like put that out there.
Results look like here. Okay, so all that just finished up. Let me pop over to email. So in email, we got our new LinkedIn post. Are you a morning lark or a night owl? The signs of productivity. I'm not going to read through this right now exactly, but let's take a look at the image we got. When are you most productive? In the morning, plus 10% productivity, or night owls thrive in flexibility? I mean, this is insane. This is a really good graphic. Okay, so now that we've seen, again, how good this is, let's just break down what's going on. We're going to start off with.
I like that. That was actually pretty cool, man. That is so cool. So can you imagine you just type something in and then all of a sudden it just auto-generates your LinkedIn post and auto-generates the image? I want that. I don't know about you, but I want that. That's going to save me time, right? And if you're trying to build out, your LinkedIn, and if you are looking for a job, think about this, the job searches of the future now. Employers are now checking LinkedIn because the whole entire system, for any of you who are actually job searching, okay? The reason why I got into AI is because I went and I applied to over 1,000 jobs. And it is such a stupid system. The entire job market system is like, it's messed up, okay? It makes no sense for the employers or for the headhunters or for the potential employees. You miss out on the best of the best candidates because the stupid ATS systems, I'm going to call them stupid. I'm just calling it out here. This is my rant, okay? Those things are looking at keywords and you miss out on some great candidates. And so now the candidates are literally sitting down there playing resume game. They're building these resumes that hopefully pass through this stupid computer called the ATS. All right. It is the most ridiculous system. And so if you get through, you get seen by an employer. Wow. And you get an opportunity for a job. That is so like horrendous that the best of the best candidates are now being lost. And then on top of that, the job boards or the headhunters, they're trying to use that to save time. And so they're missing out on candidates. So guess what? You're not making money because no one wants to hire the candidates that you are bringing, because guess what? These people gamed the system. They learned how to use an ATS system really, really good. And so now they kind of go around and they build this resume that's supposed to go beyond the ATS system, not because they're actually good people. And that's the problem now, is you're getting people who are just like, they game the system and they don't actually know. All right. And exactly. Thank you. What is it? Tanny C. Greer 9926. Yes, that's exactly the point, right? So they're gaming the system. And what ends up happening now is you've got these bad candidates going in and you've got the good candidates who are sitting down and they're like, I actually know how to do, project management or, software engineering. But here I am now, I'm engineering a resume. Like my entire full-time job is now being a resume writer. This is bullshit. Just calling it out for what it is. The entire resume game is now bullshit. And so what you need to do, in my opinion, if I was now looking for a job again for the future, I would now go on LinkedIn, because that's where the people are who are actually making job decisions. They need a hire and they're looking for people. So number one is LinkedIn. Build your entire ecosystem by doing something like this, making posts in your industry. All right. So if you are, let's say, in sales, start writing sales posts. If you are in marketing, start writing marketing posts. All right. And so, Tanisha, thank you. Sorry. My apologies if I didn't pronounce it right. Okay. Tanisha, thank you. And thank you for watching. Yeah. So, I would recommend you go into your market that and start posting on it on LinkedIn. If you are an HVAC professional, that is, of course, everyone wants an HVAC professional. Those trades are incredible. I don't think trades are going to be gone. In fact, we're going to need more trades. But like, if it's something that, is kind of like hard to get into resume wise, just start posting about it. Post some solutions that people are looking for, right? If you are a painter, right, and you're like painting houses, I'm talking about like the people who go and paint houses or office buildings. Like, okay, talk about the different forms of paint and what you would do about it. People will start watching on LinkedIn and be like, oh, I need my office building painted. This guy here or this girl here or whoever they are, they talk about painting. I want to reach out to them. That is going to get you probably more closed business than trying to game the ATS system, in my opinion. The second part is go out to in-person meetings. We have lost that. We have lost that entire thing of people shaking hands, saying hello. You're going to get more from a handshake than you will with these stupid ATS systems. All right. Tanisha is saying a great thing here. Let me just see this. I ran into an article where it described employers are going back to old-fashioned networking. Yes, ATS systems are flawed. They're really stupid. And I think that's the problem here. And that's why I recommend building out your LinkedIn system, build out your LinkedIn profile, post on LinkedIn, post solutions. And then think about this. You are the solution to somebody's problem. There are companies right now. There's a manager in a company that is sitting down there that desperately needs you. They needed you yesterday. All right. I'm going to go into my full video here so you can see me here. Okay. They needed you yesterday. They needed your skills yesterday. But the trouble is they don't know how to find you. And these job systems, they're so flawed. Like that game is like old school. I feel bad for all the hiring managers who are still using that old system of resumes. Resumes is a dead game. It's a dead game. I think it's the stupidest thing. Nobody cares about resumes in the future. They're not going to. They want to know that you can get the job done. They are looking just like you are online. Or guess where they're going to be going? I am looking for XYZ type of person. Go and search LinkedIn for me, AI. All right. You want to be in the good books of AI. Go try typing in Solomon Christ online right now. Just type it into Google. You're going to find one of two things. Either A, everything about AI and me, or B, something to do with the Bible. All right. Both are great things, by the way. Okay. But I guarantee you're going to find something about AI. And that is the key. I've gamed that. If you type in Solomon Christ, you're going to find everything to do with AI. And if you were thinking about AI, you're going to find me. All right. That is the biggest key there. And so if you are going out there, like if there was other people named Solomon Christ in your industry, okay, if there were other Tanishas out there who are looking for X job, if they went in and typed in your name, they'd find that. Or if they found, let's say, your industry, if you type in the word, AI training, N8N, chances are you're going to find me. All right. That is what you want to do. That's how you're going to get the top level jobs. Don't settle for less. If you are a professional in your industry, if you know your stuff and you've worked hard, go for top dollar. And that's what's happening here is the rest of the, ecosystem is just searching for jobs, and they're all putting out resumes. Don't do what they're doing. All right. What you want to do is be the best. You're the best. You've studied hard for it. You've worked hard for it. Now, if you're just looking for just a side gig, just something to do, fine. Go and work at Starbucks or something like that, whatever it is for you. Starbucks is great, by the way. They actually have some good stuff, and they even pay for education and stuff. But like, if you are the best at your craft, right? If you are a top marketer, and there are things like the graphic artists, like even though you can use AI today to do graphic arts work, there is someone who has the eye for graphic arts. That is a very different thing. That takes years of experience. Even software developers, there's been a big firing. I know that the exodus of so many people who are in the tech industry, right? If you have those skills, that's experience, they're going to need you. They're going to need you. Whether you believe me or not today, they've tried to outsource this to AI. What's happening? What's happening in the world of AI? They are now paying double, triple, quadruple for things like Fable and Mythos. They're like, man, we just let go of our top AI people. Bring them on back. They're going to cost us less than what we're paying Anthropic, right? So, I mean, this is what's happening, and they're going to be coming back to those who have the experience. And what do they need? They're going to say, who do you know? Right? They're going to go to their friends. They're going to go back to their LinkedIn. They're going to say, oh my gosh, we let go of Bobby the other day. Bobby was our top developer. Oh my goodness. He beat out Claude in timing. Like, you know what? We're paying Claude or Anthropic, like what? We're paying like $100,000, $200,000, maybe $500,000. Bring Bobby. He was 60 grand. We need Bobby back. And now when you go back and when that happens, charge them more money. If you're getting 60K, get up to 90K. All right. That is your negotiation chip, because this is going to happen. And we saw something like this before back in 2008. I was there during the 2008 recession, and it was a worldwide thing. It was so messed up, and they outsourced everything to India and China. I remember as a software developer, it was so challenging. And so the issue here is that, yes, you get developers, but they aren't the best of the best. And that was the thing, right? And there we go. Tanisha says she's a formal graphic design person, right? Is that correct? Right? Tanisha, go ahead and tell me if you're a formal graphic design person, right? That is the biggest key there. You probably have an eye for graphic design, right? And you could go on things like Dribble and stuff like that. There's a website for that. But to get that level of eye, that is a very different thing. That takes years of experience. And that's what it is. To have that is going to save time. And what we just watched today, you saw Nate going through these agent loops, right? We saw Nate Herk's video on agent loops. We went through agent loops, and it's like hours of time or half an hour of time where a graphic artist could have been like, yeah, don't use those colors, right? Don't use that. Like those visuals aren't going to work, right? They'll know what works. They'll know the psychology of color right off the bat. It's like, dude, don't use red over there, right? You're going to lose sales, right? You're going to lose money. So, you want to get top dollar, and there are things that experience brings. And as much as you want to use AI and say, oh yeah, AI is going to replace everything, they need our learned experience that you just can't have, right? But the point here is now take your years of skills, whatever that is, and double your money. Literally, if you were charging 60K, charge 120K. Go for top dollar. Don't just go for everyone is just trying to get a job. I would rather, in my opinion, my personal opinion, by the way, if you're going to do it, that's up to you. All right. That's your risk. But if it was me doing this again and just starting over again, here's what I would do. I would go and get like some side job just to pay for my rent or whatever, food or whatever I got. And I would go after the top jobs using AI. I would literally go out there and I'd be like, okay, I want you to now make my LinkedIn number one. All right. So figure out how to make my LinkedIn number one. Number two, I would have you target all the top people asking for work. Number three, I would build a custom offer for each one. All right. And why should I go for one? Go for 10 of them, right? Do fractional. There's, for example, you can actually be a fractional person in different companies and charging them different rates. Start your own business, take a risk. The future is going to be those who are using AI, and maybe you're working at 10 different companies using AI to save you that time. And now you're getting top dollar in each one. Charge each one, 10 grand, 20 grand a month. There you go. You're making some good money. And that's what's going to happen is in the future, those who understand what I just said are going to be the future leaders. And I think it was said somewhere that, the amount of millionaires that'll be created in the world of AI is going to happen within these next 5 years. And it's going to be so massive compared to what took 30 years to make millionaires in the internet days. You're going to see this new shifting of money from those who know how to use AI and implement it to those who don't. Now, this, once again, it's not financial advice. It's my personal opinions. If I was going to do this again, build a great LinkedIn profile, start focusing on teaching others and becoming that answer to some manager, some, C-level exec who's sitting there saying, I need that person who's great at graphics, or I need that top person in project management. I've given up on this ATS system. We're getting a lot of duds and people who just don't know, and they game the ATS system, and they're going back to just in-person networking. This is your opportunity. All right. So hopefully that helps out. That was my little rant on that, but go for top dollar. Go for triple, quadruple the amount that you were charging before. You're worth it. All right. I'm just going to say that to you. You're worth making 200, 300, 400,000, worth making $1 million using these new tools in AI. But don't just sit there and be like, oh, I'm going to make like $10 worth. You have so many good, great capabilities inside of you. And it's time now using these new tools to reflect that. And in fact, you can actually save that time. And if you could do it for yourself, you might actually come up with a better product or service that the industry needs. Hence these future SaaS businesses that are being done. All right. So that's me just talking a little bit more. And thank you so much, Tanisha. That was great. I love chatting with many of the people who are coming in as we have a lot of fun watching some of Nate's great videos and, just getting to know each other, right? Having a lot of fun and experiencing stuff. All right. Oh, great. Tanisha's saying it definitely helps. She's on that journey right now and wants to move as fast as possible. So you know what? And I'd love to take a break and talk to my actual, viewers here. This is your opportunity. You get to talk to me live, right? That's the great thing here. All right. So what we're going to do for you, Tanisha, is because you're getting to chat with me here today, I'm going to take a moment to actually go on that journey with you and try and help you out here and, kind of give you some of those personal, opinions and advice that I wish I had, 3-4 years ago when I was in that situation and I put out 1,000 resumes and I couldn't find a job. And it was scary. I didn't know where I was going to eat, where I was going to, find money. And I think it's important that we actually go over this here. And this is for all of my viewers here. It is important that you understand this. So first and foremost, separate your situation. And once again, this is coming from my own personal experience. For everyone who's watching, not financial advice. Do your own due diligence. Talk to the right professionals. All right. This is from my own personal experience. You can't take that from me. I went through this. Okay. So I went and I applied to 1,000 jobs and I didn't get even a single thing back. This is after 6 months of doing that. Like it was my full-time job to find jobs using the ATS, trying to do the whole resumes and all that. Number one, understand what you need for living. Okay. So your living situation. This is important because what ends up happening is your living situation, you might need, let's say, $5,000 a month just to live. All right. Find that first. If you need to get a job, right? And get like any job. Okay. Any job you can. That is what we call a temp job. Okay. So just something that's temporary. It's just for the moment. And I'm saying, like, if you need to flip burgers, flip burgers. Do whatever it takes to get a job fast, but do not waste your energy and time on the top deals that are going to be there, like your top job goals, right? Do not waste your energy. And this was the biggest lesson that I had to learn. And I'm going to put this here on your prime jobs in desperation. This was the biggest key. I think this was like such a huge unlock for me. In a moment where you're desperate, you're not thinking straight. So you're accepting whatever comes, and you are going to the top market where you've got the best skills, and you're charging a penny for your skills. And that is a problem, because you are the best of the best and you're giving it away for dirt cheap because you're desperate. I would rather a person, especially in my situation, I was like, I'm giving away my entire years of experience and everything, all my knowledge for a penny because I need to eat. And that is a very sad thing. And so it's like giving an iPad away. It's like an auction. It makes no sense. Whatever they say, you get into bad deals. And I got into bad deals. I got into bad job offers, bad job situations. And it's like, you're sitting down there and you're like, I'm desperate, so I'm accepting anything that comes, right? And and Tanisha just said it right there. She's gotten interviews, no hires yet. All right. The listings that she broke through were through Zoom screenings. Okay. I'll tell you this much right now. Find those who are desperate for you, for your position, for whatever it is that you do. You need to think of this like a marketing person, like a salesperson. All right. If I'm looking for a certain product or service that I want to sell. So for example, if I take spicy food and I put it into a market that people don't like spicy food, I'm not going to make sales. And that's just the key. Walmart over here. So right now I'm in Toronto, Canada area. On the west end of town, there's a big East Indian community. On the east end of town, there's a big Chinese community. Same Walmart, different product lines inside of them. Inside of Walmart on the west side, they've got everything written in the Indian languages and Punjabi and stuff like that. They'll have like certain clothing that's cultural to that. They have spicy foods. Whereas on the east end, they've got everything written in Mandarin Chinese or in Cantonese. And during the Asian New Year, you've got all that stuff there in that Walmart. That's the key, is when you understand what your skills are, you start looking in that market. So for example, if you're very good at, let's say, project management, there are networking events that happen. There are ongoing trade shows that happen where they are seeking out that. But the trouble is right now, you're looking for food. You're looking for rent. You're looking to save money. You have credit card bills that you got to pay. The trouble is that's messing with your head, and it's making you get into desperate situations to accept jobs that you don't deserve. And that could be a bad company. That could be a bad hiring opportunity. That could be a bad contract. And I've gotten into those situations where it's like, oh my goodness, this contract sucked. They literally got the best of me for a penny, and I'm still going back to begging again, right? And so that is not a good situation to be in. And so what I would recommend is get any temp job and then take your time during the evenings and weekends to actually go and apply and get top dollar. Because when you go in and you get the best job for you, you can always get rid of that temp job that you're doing. Like, dude, you can work at Amazon. There's Amazon warehouses. Go work there. No one has to see you. Like for me, I was shy. I'm like, you know what? I don't even want anyone to know that I'm doing this. I feel so ashamed. Oh my goodness. Like I'm going to go in and flip burgers, or I'm going to go off to the side. Okay. Well, you know what? Go to a place where no one knows you, right? Go into the warehouses, like boom, wear a mask and just be like, I'm masking COVID, right? I don't want my friends and family to know I'm doing this, right? Fine. Right? Like some people drive Uber and stuff like, it's like, boom, you go and do what you got to do to just make your living situation, but do not give them your best. Your best should be for the top dollar. And someone who values you and knows your worth is going to pay the very best price for you. And I saw this. I think a story that someone told me was this. There was a father and his daughter. And I think it was like this old, 1949 Corvette or something. I don't know what it was. It was like this Corvette, and it was sitting in the garage for a long time. So the father told the daughter, he said, take it to a flea market, and then after that, get the price. So she went, and the flea market was like, it was like the used parts shop. They're like, $50 or something, right? It's like they were asking me to pay them to actually, to take this car. And he said, all right, now I want you to go to an auction. So she took it to the auction, and over there, the auction person said, you know what? We could give you 10,000 for it, right? So that was like, okay, that's more. Then he said, go to a place where they sell antique cars. And when she took it there, she got a $100,000 offer. And so the point is, your market and where you go will be very different. But the trouble is, in a time of desperation, you're not thinking straight. You're taking any offer that comes for you and you're devaluing yourself. You get into a situation that you don't like. And what's worse is if you sign a contract that basically allows them to take advantage of you. And I've had that happen too many times, and I've lost content. There's been content that I've lost because I signed an agreement that gave them the royalties on it for a certain amount of time. And so it's like, that sucks because you're in that situation. So I'm going to tell you, take your time, get a temp job. In my opinion, that's what I would do. And then after that, once you've got like a good amount of money coming in to take care of your basics, then you go for your top AI positions, right? I'm talking about charge top dollar. If you are doing N8N workflows, charge top dollar. Go to the enterprises, charge them $100,000, right? Show them a return on investment. That's the whole entire thing. It's like, dude, if I'm going to do this for you, I'm going to charge you, let's say, 20%. And rightly so. If you're saving someone $100,000 and you could prove it on paper, like this is what I'm doing, you're going to save $100,000 and you can get that financially checked. Charge them 20%. Boom. It's $20,000 or $100,000. Pay me $20,000 and you can validate that. That is a great opportunity there. And they'll pay for that all day, every day. And that happens all the time, right? Do not undervalue your skills. Now, here's the thing. I'm going to show you some techniques and tricks and tips, which I don't share with a lot of people, but you know what? A lot of people don't understand. Like I really went through this stuff, right? And I'm going to teach you guys some techniques because some of you are like, oh my goodness, I want to save myself some money during these desperate times. How do I do that? So I'll go over that. And Tanisha, great question. Is 100K possible? Hell yeah. 100K, 200K, 500K, a million. You could do whatever you put your mind to. There is always a need in the market. So to say is 100K possible, I would rather flip the question. Who needs your service and has 100K to spend? And that's going to be bigger enterprises, all right? Where it's like, you know what, this makes sense. Can they save me money? You need to be able to go to a place where, they're spending like, 10, 20, $30 million, where it's like, you could save me that money. You could save me like, of the $10 million I'm about to spend, you could save me 3 million and my cost is 100K. If they could prove it, if you could prove it and do it, why wouldn't they do that? It's like me asking you, here, Tanisha, give me $10. I'll give you a $100 bill back. Would you do that deal? Absolutely. If everything is legit and it all works out, you do that deal every day, right? Who wouldn't? And that's exactly what you need to understand. You need to change your mindset. You're going to the wrong market and you're saying, oh, is 100K possible? If you go to a place where everyone is spending pennies, of course it's not possible, right? No one's going to spend that. No one has 100K to spend. But if you go to a place where everyone is spending millions upon millions of dollars, 100K, it's like, which pocket did I leave my last 100K in, right? It's like, dude, go to the place where they're spending millions of dollars and 100K is like a penny. Right. So it's changing of market. That's what it is. And that's what you need to find. The trouble is a lot of people are going into the wrong markets. Like you go to Upwork and you're like, okay, I'm going to compete. Everyone is spending pennies. They're spending pennies there. And so they're fighting for pennies. So if you go to a place where everyone's fighting for pennies, you're going to get a penny, right? So that's the entire thing, right? Go to places where you command top dollar, but you need to be able to show top dollar results. Don't just go in there and be like, oh yeah, I'm going to go into like FIFA and I'm not going to perform at the level of Ronaldo. You can't do that, right? So that's the thing. You need to be able to get your skills at that level and you'll get there. Now, this is just for all of my viewers here. If you're in this situation, you're looking at saving money, these things help me. All right. So too good to go. Number one. All right. If you're starving and you need food, I'm not joking. So these are real deal stuff. I've been through this. Okay. So I know this grind here. All right. Too Good To Go is a great app. For like $6, $5, you get to try out all kinds of different restaurants. They will give you actual full meals that, they would have thrown away. And many times they actually give you fresh meals, right? Which is great. And you get to like the whole concept here is you get to explore a brand new restaurant they get a new potential customer, and you get food, some of the best food for like pennies on the dollar. All right. So if you're hungry, you're starving, this is a great thing to do. Download the Too Good To Go app. All right. I use that for a long time. And even till now, I just use it just to find like new eats that I didn't even know about. And I mean, you save money, but it's like now I don't even do it for the money. It's just to find like, some great eats here and there for places that I would have never even considered. But when I was starving and I couldn't find food and I couldn't spend 20, 30, 40 bucks, even groceries, you can go in, spend like $5 and you get like $40, $50, sometimes $100 worth of groceries for like $5, right? It is an incredible app. So if you're trying to save money, that's one thing that I did. Another one is, as long as you're good with credit. So once again, not financial advice. This is what I did. I don't recommend it unless you're really in like a bind. But like there are some good credit cards that for just the regular stuff that you're going to do, they give you cash back. And so I would use that a lot. And it was like, oh my goodness, just for like the regular groceries that I'm spending on or the gas that I'm spending, it's like I get at the end of the month, like $5, $10, $15 back. That's great. I would also download apps, right? So download food apps, right? So, I've got a family of, there's 6 of us, right? I've got 4 kids. So it's like, dude, we're going to McDonald's all the time, right? So McDonald's, Burger King, right? And I know this is bad health. I know that, right? But if you're a parent, you know what I'm talking about. Kids want French fries. Kids want chicken nuggets, whatever, right? And so you go to those different things. Even for me, my coffee app, right? So Starbucks, etc., etc. You want to find out how you can actually earn some stuff. Starbucks has a great little thing, and so here's a technique I use at Starbucks all the time. Even until now, I just do that just for fun. Here's what you do inside of the app. You could actually ask for, it's called double shot, right? So it's like 2 shots of espresso, and then you just ask for any milk that you want. So ask for oat milk or whatever to the rim. And you end up paying literally $3 for that drink. And it comes out as, it's similar to me having a latte. Right, it's pretty much the same idea. The difference is now I save $5 or $3 depending on the time. And then sometimes if you got points and you really want the full drink, Starbucks, if you've saved up points, they'll have like 60 points, and boom, you get the full drink for a fraction of the cost. Right, you pay $2, $3 for it. So like use the apps to help you out. And then based on where you are, like in Canada, we've got a certain app here called Flip. And that allows you to see all local grocery deals, right? And so that's like great if you want to save some money on food, some money on different things. Like your goal is saving money at that time and not getting into a bad deal. So when I was desperate and I was going through this stuff saved me. It saved me from spending so much money on food and getting groceries and all that other stuff. And I'm so grateful for that, right? Aside from that, though, I would say, when you're looking for work, don't waste your energy, getting bad deals on desperation. Go for top dollar. You deserve it. And if you need money, go and get any temp job, but that's not your primary job. That's like you doing the job just to pay the bills, but now that'll take care of your mentality because your rent is paid, your food is paid, you're good. Now you have the time to refuse bad offers. If someone is giving you, $50K for something that is worth $150K, do not settle for anything less than $150K, period. All right. I'd rather you invest 6 months, 8 months, a year as you've got your basic temp job and get the top dollar than to sit down in a job for 60K when you could have had 150K, because that entire year will go by and you only got 60K. You know what I mean? So anyways, hopefully this was just a bonus for you, Tanisha, because you actually are chatting there, and thank you as well. And this goes to all my viewers who are coming in on this Wednesday on the Nate Herk watch party as we learn about AI. I want to do my best to, talk to my fans and talk to all my followers there. And yeah, so hopefully this, helps you out, and request the very, very best, get top dollar there. You definitely deserve it. And so, yeah, for all of you who are watching, we're going to end it off today. I mean, this has been great here. We watched some Nate Herk videos. We actually talked about AI loops. We talked about the latest stuff. And, if you're watching here today, please do, join Nate's great community, AIS Plus. And thank you, Tanisha. Absolutely. Please, you deserve the very best. We all do, especially with these new tools with AI. You spent the time to learn these techniques. Think about this. There's only 1%, less than 1% of the world knows how to use AI. They hear about it. They talk about it. They might have used ChatGPT, but they're using the free editions. Please use some paid editions. Learn these skills and go in. This is the early days of AI. All right. And definitely, go and get top dollar. You deserve it. All right. Thank you so much, everyone, for coming on out. I hope you enjoyed this week's, live stream. And I look forward to see you guys again in the next live stream where we have fun. We have a great time. And once again, please do chat with me. I love chatting with all my fans. And today it was Tanisha. Hopefully I get to see you as well if you're watching this as a recording later on. So grateful to everybody. And please tell your friends, come on out to the next Solomon Christ reaction watch party. All right. I'd love to see you all there. Take care, everyone. Have a great day. Bye-bye.
That's the one we need the most. Thoughts take notes, I take the lead. Less delay, more time to breathe. Autofill on every task. Open doors when we don't ask. Night by night the numbers climb. Every screen in perfect time. Chat goes wild, the beats stay clean. We build the future in between. One more tap, one more round. Everybody feel that rising sound. Keep it moving, keep it near.